Lamatetan looked at his student and said, "It's happening now," then consciously chose the exact moment to leave his body. This isn't a legend. This is a documented account from the Tibetan Book of Living and Dying of a master who achieved what most people think is impossible: complete control over the death process. While ordinary people die in fear and confusion, Tibetan masters like Lamatetan can direct their consciousness at the moment of transition, choosing not just when to die, but how to die consciously. I've studied these death masters for 12 years, and what I'm about to reveal will shatter everything you think you know about mortality. In the next 15 minutes, you'll discover exactly how lifetime spiritual practice develops mastery over the death process, why the clear light of death offers the ultimate liberation opportunity, and the specific techniques that allow consciousness transference at will. But here's what amazed me most. Some masters don't just choose when to die. They dissolve their entire physical body into rainbow light, leaving only hair and nails behind. This isn't mystical fantasy. It's the result of understanding consciousness at the deepest level and preparing for death as the final spiritual accomplishment. Let me tell you the complete story of Lamatetan's conscious death, because what happened that day reveals the ultimate secret of Tibetan death mastery. We were on pilgrimage to the sacred lake of Yamdrok Tso when Lamatetan, the tutor to Khandro Tsering Chodron, began his final transition. He was over 60, with gray hair and an effortless gentleness that gave everyone around him a sense of peace and serenity. When his time came, he refused to go to the nearby monastery, saying he didn't want to leave a corpse for them to clear up. As Khandro cared for him in their tent, he suddenly called her over with his endearing term, me, meaning my child. What he said next would demonstrate a level of death mastery that most people can't even imagine. "Amy," he said tenderly, "come here. It's happening now. I've no further advice for you. You are fine as you are. I am happy with you. Serve your master, just as you have been doing." When she turned to call their master Jamyang Khyentse, Lamatetan caught her sleeve. "Don't bother him. There's no need," he smiled. "With the master, there's no such thing as distance." With that, he gazed up into the sky and consciously passed away. This wasn't death as we know it. This was a conscious transition, the ultimate demonstration of spiritual mastery over the death process. To understand why Tibetan masters can choose when they die, you need to see the profound difference between ordinary death and masterful death. Earlier in the same text, we read about Samten's death, a good monk who had practiced faithfully his entire life. But Samten's death was not easy. The sound of his labored breathing followed everyone, and they could smell his body decaying. He died in pain, though with the confidence of faith. Contrast this with Lamatetan's death. No struggle, no pain, no fear. He announced his own transition, gave final instructions, and consciously departed at the exact moment he chose. The difference wasn't just in comfort, it was in complete spiritual mastery. But there's something even more profound about what Lamatetan demonstrated, and it reveals the ultimate secret of conscious death. When Lamatetan said, "With the master, there's no such thing as distance," he revealed that he had already realized the presence of his master within himself. Jamyang Khyentse was there with him, in his mind and heart. He had achieved what Tibetan Buddhism calls the inner guru, complete spiritual self-reliance. This level of mastery doesn't happen overnight. It's the result of lifetime preparation, daily practice, and deep understanding of consciousness itself. Lamatetan could choose when to die because he had spent decades learning to master his mind and consciousness. At the heart of Tibetan death mastery is understanding the clear light of death, the most important moment in human existence that offers the ultimate opportunity for liberation. According to the Tibetan Book of the Dead, at the moment of death, consciousness experiences what's called the clear light. all-encompassing awareness that is actually the person's own essential nature revealed, the ultimate test. For most people, this clear light appears terrifying because they don't recognize it as their own deepest essence. They retreat from it in fear, missing the greatest spiritual opportunity of their existence. Masters' recognition. But masters like Lamatetan have spent their entire lives preparing for this moment. Through decades of meditation and spiritual practice, they've learned to recognize the clear light as their own essential nature, not something external or frightening. But here's what makes Tibetan death mastery even more extraordinary. Some masters don't just recognize the clear light, they can merge with it at will. Conscious liberation. When a master recognizes the clear light as their own essence, they can consciously merge with it, achieving instant liberation. They don't need to continue through the bardos or be reborn. They dissolve into ultimate reality itself. The preparation process. This recognition doesn't happen by accident. Masters train for this moment through specific practices. Daily meditation on the nature of mind. Dissolution practices that rehearse the death process. Recognition of clear light awareness in deep meditation. Understanding that consciousness is not produced by the brain. The specific technique that allows masters to choose when they die is called Fawa consciousness transference. This isn't theory. It's a precise spiritual technology. The spiritual anatomy. Tibetan Buddhism understands that consciousness travels through the body via energy channels. The central channel runs from the crown of the head to the heart center. At death, consciousness naturally exits through one of several openings, directing consciousness. Through Fawa practice, masters learn to consciously direct their consciousness up the central channel and out through the crown opening. This ensures they exit in a state of awareness rather than confusion. The Fawa technique. The practice involves visualization of the central channel as a hollow tube of light, imagining consciousness as a luminous sphere in the heart, using breath and intention to move consciousness up the channel, ejecting consciousness through the crown opening. But there's something even more remarkable about how masters use this technique. They can practice it while completely alive and healthy. Signs of successful practice. Traditional texts describe physical signs that indicate successful Fawa practice. A small opening appearing at the crown of the head. Ability to insert a blade of grass into this opening. Experiences of consciousness leaving and returning to the body. Complete fearlessness about death. The ability to choose when to die isn't a special power. It's the natural result of understanding consciousness through lifetime spiritual practice. Daily death rehearsal. Masters practice dissolution meditation daily, mentally rehearsing the death process while alive. They visualize their body dissolving element by element, their consciousness separating from physical form, and their awareness merging with the clear light. Mind training. Through decades of meditation, masters develop what Tibetan Buddhism calls mental pliancy, complete control over their mental states. They can generate any state of consciousness at will, including the states that naturally occur at death. Attachment release. Perhaps most importantly, masters spend their lives releasing attachment to the physical body, personal identity, and worldly concerns. When death comes, they have nothing to cling to and nothing to fear losing. But there's one aspect of their preparation that's more important than all the others combined. Compassion cultivation. Masters develop boundless compassion for all beings. This isn't just kindness. It's a spiritual force that transforms their entire relationship with existence. When you truly care more about others' welfare than your own survival, death becomes a natural transition rather than a terrifying threat. Service beyond self. Many masters choose the timing of their death based on how they can best serve others. They might delay their departure to complete teaching responsibilities, or accelerate it to avoid becoming a burden. Death becomes an act of service rather than personal defeat. Masters who can choose when they die often display specific signs that indicate their approaching conscious transition. Energetic indicators. Their aura becomes more luminous and peaceful. Electronic devices may malfunction around them. Animals and children are drawn to their presence. They emanate a sense of completion and readiness. Behavioral signs. They begin giving away possessions and completing relationships. They speak about death with joy rather than fear. They may announce their departure date in advance. They show increased compassion and wisdom. Physical changes. Their body may become lighter and more translucent. They require less food and sleep. Their breathing becomes more refined. They may emit pleasant fragrances. But the most remarkable sign is something that happens to their consciousness itself. Consciousness expansion. In their final weeks or days, masters often display expanded awareness. They may know things happening at great distances, communicate with departed teachers, or demonstrate other signs that their consciousness is no longer limited by physical form. Final teaching phase. Many masters use their approaching death as their most powerful teaching. They demonstrate fearlessness, joy, and complete spiritual mastery, showing their students what conscious death looks like. The ultimate demonstration of death mastery is the rainbow body, where masters don't just choose when to die, but dissolve their physical form entirely into light. Documented cases. This isn't legend, it's documented history. In 2004, Khenpo Achos achieved a rainbow body in Tibet, witnessed by hundreds of people. Over 7 days, his body shrank and became translucent until only hair and nails remained. The process. Rainbow body occurs when a master has achieved such complete realization that their physical form literally transforms back into its essential light nature. The body doesn't decay. It dissolves into rainbow-colored light. Beyond death and rebirth, masters who achieve a rainbow body transcend the entire cycle of death and rebirth. They don't need to reincarnate because they've merged completely with ultimate reality. They become pure consciousness, free from all physical limitations. But here's what's most remarkable about rainbow body. It reveals the true nature of physical reality itself. Matter is light. The rainbow body demonstrates that physical matter is actually crystallized consciousness. What we think of as solid flesh and bone is really condensed light that can return to its original luminous state. Modern science parallels. Quantum physics is beginning to understand what Tibetan masters have known for centuries, that matter and energy are interchangeable, and consciousness plays a fundamental role in physical reality. While achieving the level of mastery demonstrated by Lamatetan or rainbow body masters requires lifetimes of practice, anyone can begin preparing for more conscious death. Begin dissolution practice. Start with simple dissolution meditation. Visualize your body becoming lighter and more translucent. Practice releasing attachment to physical form. Imagine consciousness as separate from the body. Cultivate familiarity with non-physical awareness. Clear light preparation. Meditate on the nature of awareness itself. Practice recognizing consciousness as pure light. Study the death process described in Tibetan texts. Develop confidence in your essential nature. Release attachment. Practice letting go of possessions, relationships, and identity. Cultivate acceptance of impermanence. Develop equanimity toward gain and loss. Focus on what truly matters beyond physical existence. But there's one preparation practice that's more important than all the technical training. Develop compassion. The most important preparation for conscious death is developing genuine compassion for all beings. When you care more about others' welfare than your own survival, death becomes a natural transition rather than a terrifying threat. Live for service. Orient your life toward serving others rather than accumulating for yourself. When death comes, you'll have no regrets about wasted time or missed opportunities for kindness. The reason Tibetan masters can choose when they die isn't because they possess supernatural powers. It's because they understand consciousness at the deepest level and have prepared for death as the ultimate spiritual accomplishment. Lamatetan's conscious death reveals a profound truth. Death doesn't have to be humanity's greatest fear. It can be our greatest teacher and our ultimate opportunity for spiritual liberation. When you understand that consciousness is not produced by the brain but channeled through it, when you recognize the clear light as your own essential nature, when you release attachment to physical form and develop boundless compassion, death becomes a doorway rather than a dead end. Your assignment this week: begin dissolution practice. Spend 10 minutes daily visualizing your body, becoming lighter and more translucent. Practice releasing attachment to physical form and recognizing your consciousness as separate from your body. If this understanding of conscious death mastery resonated with you, you'll love my video on the secret Tibetan practice that prepares you for death. Click the video appearing on your screen now to discover the specific meditation techniques that prepare consciousness for ultimate transition. Remember, the masters who can choose when they die aren't superhuman. They're humans who have realized their true nature as consciousness itself. When you understand what you really are, beyond physical form, death becomes not an ending but a conscious graduation into expanded awareness. The question isn't whether you'll die, it's whether you'll die consciously or unconsciously. The choice, like everything else in spiritual development, is entirely yours.